Gentlemen, let me ask you a direct question. Do you really believe that at your age, women are only interested in wealthy men, luxury cars, or thick, dark hair? If that's what you think, let me stop you right there. That belief is nothing more than a myth society has been repeating to you for decades. Here is the truth. There is something far more powerful than money or physical appearance, something most men over 60 already possess within themselves, but simply don't know how to use. And once this power is revealed, women, even younger ones, will be drawn to you like a magnet. And no, it doesn't require surgery, a sports car, or any miracle pill. Just 12 minutes a day is enough. Stay with me because I'm about to reveal the exact method that makes women move closer to you, pursue you, and even compete for your attention, while other men your age continue wasting time fighting battles they cannot win. But before we continue, a small favor. If you're ready to regain your confidence and naturally attract women, click like, leave a comment below, and tell me where you're watching from. I truly enjoy seeing men from around the world connect. And don't forget to subscribe because every week I share scientific insights about attraction, vitality, and maintaining energy and charisma after 60, information most doctors never talk about. Let's lift the veil on a persistent myth. Society wants you to believe that after a certain age, you become invisible to women unless you own a Ferrari, a private yacht, or used to be a movie star. Forget that idea. It's wrong, completely wrong. I have worked with men in their 60s who were actively pursued by women 20 or even 30 years younger, not because of wealth or cosmetic surgery, but for one reason: psychological attraction. You see, women are not desperately searching for young, handsome boys. What they truly crave is maturity. They are tired of men, regardless of age, who lack confidence, who are emotionally dependent, or constantly trying to prove themselves. In reality, you already have the advantage. You've simply never been taught how to use it. For those of you who may not know me, I am Dr. Laura, and for the past 5 years, I have dedicated myself to men's health and relationships, helping men not only regain their vitality, but also rebuild their confidence in the dating world. Here is one of the most important truths I can share with you. Men over 60 possess a hidden power of attraction that younger men simply cannot match. It's impossible. Why? Because younger men are still building their lives, seeking validation, trying to prove themselves. But you have already lived, learned, built, and endured. That is your advantage. And it is this advantage that separates a wise man from a restless boy. So, what is the secret that changes the rules of attraction? It is what I call independence from outcomes. Once you master it, women find you irresistible. Let me explain the three biggest mistakes men over 60 make and the habits you should replace them with. The first mistake: chasing instead of attracting. Most men your age still behave like teenagers. They try to impress women, prove they're still desirable, or worse, use money as bait. Biologically, this works against you. Women detect desperation the way sharks detect blood. Emotionally, it makes you appear vulnerable and strips away your power. Practically, you end up wasting money, time, and energy trying to prove something that doesn't need proving. The solution is to cultivate independence from outcomes rather than chasing. Learn to radiate contentment. This psychological shift creates magnetic attraction. She will naturally feel drawn to you. And in a moment, I'll show you the precise 12-minute daily practice that trains your mind to make this transformation. The second mistake: tying your worth to a woman's approval. Here's something most men don't realize. The moment you seek validation from a woman, asking yourself, am I still attractive? Do I still have charm? You lose her respect. Biologically, the need for approval increases stress hormones, making you appear tense instead of relaxed. Emotionally, it weakens your confidence. And practically, you waste time, money, and energy trying to prove something unnecessary. Once again, the solution is independence from outcomes. Instead of seeking approval, learn to generate inner satisfaction. This shift creates irresistible attraction. She will naturally move closer to you. When your self-worth is no longer dependent on her reaction, everything changes. You must value your wisdom, your life experience, your independence. When you possess this inner strength, women perceive a man who doesn't need them, but chooses them, and that is irresistible. The third mistake, playing a game you cannot win. Too many men in their 60s try to compete with younger men. They dye their hair, buy luxury watches, or exhaust themselves in the gym trying to look 30 again. Let's be honest, you're not 30 anymore, and that's a good thing. Biologically, women are not programmed to want a boy forever. They are drawn to a man who embodies stability, confidence, and calm. Emotionally, they seek the inner peace that comes from being with a man who truly knows himself. Practically, you stop wasting money and energy pretending and instead focus on your real strengths. The real solution is not to look younger, but to embody quiet confidence. That is the energy women are naturally attracted to. Now let's move to the practice. How do you actually develop independence from outcomes in your daily life? I teach my clients what I call the indifference activation protocol. It takes only 12 minutes a day, divided into three parts. The first step is 3 minutes of contentment practice. Sit quietly and imagine your life exactly as it is, without a woman, without approval, without external validation, and feel deep satisfaction. Feel that nothing is missing. This trains your brain to stop sending signals of need. The second step is 4 minutes of neutral visualization. Imagine yourself in conversation with an attractive woman, but here's the key: you are not trying to get anything. No phone number, no kiss, no date. You are simply enjoying the present moment freely and naturally. This retrains your brain to stay present instead of constantly calculating outcomes. The third step is 5 minutes of self appreciation. Reflect on your achievements, your resilience, your wisdom, and the challenges you've overcome, not to boast or compare yourself to others, but to honestly recognize your value. This builds unshakable confidence. And here is the paradox: the less you focus on attracting women, the more attractive you become. Take the example of Frank, one of my clients from New Jersey. He is 60 years old. Instead of trying to impress a woman at his usual cafe, he simply sat comfortably, relaxed, and enjoyed his book. A few minutes later, a 52-year-old woman started a conversation with him. They have now been together for 2 years. Why? Because his energy communicated, "I am already complete. I don't need you, but I would enjoy your company." That kind of energy naturally attracts women without effort. Now, this doesn't mean being cold, distant, or pretending to be someone you're not. That's not the point. The point is to free yourself from desperation because women sense it instantly. They are deeply drawn to a man who radiates calm and confidence. And the best part is, you don't need to fake it. You already have this power, decades of experience, wisdom, challenges, and victories. That is what makes you magnetic. You simply need to stop hiding it behind insecurity or outdated habits. Gentlemen, here is the truth. You are not too old. You are not invisible. You have not passed your prime. You are actually in one of the most powerful phases of your life to attract women in a way younger men cannot match. All it takes is a shift in mindset and 12 minutes of focused practice each day. Start tomorrow. Practice independence from outcomes and watch how women begin to look at you differently, with curiosity, warmth, and admiration. And remember, you don't need to become someone else. You simply need to reveal the man you already are. If this message resonates with you, don't hesitate to like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend who needs it. Tell me in the comments what your biggest challenge is when it comes to dating after 60. I read every single one. Gentlemen, life is not about fading quietly into the background. It's about walking into every room with calm confidence, knowing you have nothing to prove and everything to enjoy. Stay strong. Stay magnetic. And remember, this message comes from the Stoic heart. Now let's continue because what I'm about to share next can completely transform how you see yourself and how women see you. You see, most men over 60 underestimate the power of their presence. They've spent decades providing, leading, solving problems, yet when it comes to attraction, they forget that presence is everything. Women don't fall in love with words, they fall in love with how they feel in your presence. When you enter a room with calm, confidence, and a peaceful energy, you immediately stand out from men who are restless or trying to prove something. Confidence without words speaks louder than anything you could say. This is where energetic awareness comes into play. Every interaction between a man and a woman is an exchange of energy, and younger women in particular are highly sensitive to it. They can feel when a man is comfortable in his own skin, when his body language expresses calm, when his gaze reflects depth instead of neediness. That is what creates intrigue. It's not about being flashy or overly charming, it's about being deeply relaxed and authentically connected to yourself. I often tell my clients, your body speaks before your mouth ever does. A woman notices your posture, your tone, your breathing, your rhythm, long before she hears your words. This means if you approach her with tension, she will feel it instantly. But if you approach her with calm confidence, she will naturally relax and open up. It's biology. Her nervous system mirrors yours. If you are calm, she feels safe. If you are needy, she feels pressure. That is why independence from outcomes works at a subconscious level. It transforms your energy, and when your energy changes, everything else follows. Let's go deeper into how this independence rewires your brain. When you stop seeking validation, your dopamine system resets. Instead of relying on external approval for pleasure, your brain begins generating a stable, quiet confidence from within. This is what I call true self confidence. It's not an act or a motivational speech, it's a biological shift within your nervous system. Your hormones regulate differently, your posture straightens, your voice deepens, your gaze becomes more grounded. All of this happens naturally when you practice detachment for just 12 minutes each day. Now, let me introduce a simple exercise to amplify this transformation. I call it magnetic breathing. Find a quiet place. Place your hand on your chest and inhale slowly through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold your breath for 2 seconds, then exhale slowly for 6 seconds. As you exhale, imagine releasing all tension or fear related to being loved or chosen. Then silently repeat to yourself, I am already enough. I bring value effortlessly. Practice this for 5 minutes each morning. It strengthens emotional control and enhances the calm, masculine presence that women subconsciously seek. Let's be honest, modern women are constantly overstimulated. They are always in the spotlight, especially on social media. Men, on the other hand, try desperately to stand out, but very few offer silence, peace, and genuine presence. That's why when a grounded, calm, emotionally intelligent man over 60 enters their life, everything changes. She may not be able to explain it logically, but she feels it deeply. She feels safer, more feminine, more open, and that's what draws her in. There is also something called silent leadership. Women are naturally attracted to men who lead, not through control, but through calm guidance. Quiet leadership is defined by emotional stability. It means staying calm in chaos, listening more than speaking, taking your time to decide, responding instead of reacting. This kind of energy communicates a power far greater than physical strength, and it creates deep respect and attraction in women. Younger men often confuse loudness with dominance, but women instinctively understand that true dominance is quiet. It doesn't shout, it doesn't seek validation, it simply exists. That's why, when a woman meets a man who has mastered his energy, she feels drawn to him without fully understanding why. He creates an irresistible pull, and she cannot resist being drawn in. Gentlemen, at this stage of your life, it's not about chasing youth, it's about mastering presence. When you combine presence with wisdom, you become irresistible. It's about slowing down and allowing attraction to develop naturally without forcing it. Because when a woman feels seen, heard, and at peace in your presence, she connects with you on a deeper level, something rare in today's fast paced world. And here is what I want you to remember: your presence is your power, your calm is your strength, your wisdom is your magnet. When you live in alignment with these forces, you stop chasing attraction, and attraction begins to come to you. Every glance, every conversation, even every silence becomes meaningful. Women feel it when they are with a man who is truly lived, who carries strength without arrogance, and who listens without judgment. In the next part, we will explore something that amplifies all of this even further: emotional mastery. It is the invisible signal that tells a woman, this man can handle me, my moods, my storms, my softness, my fire. And when a woman senses that, she stops testing and begins trusting. So stay with me, because what comes next will teach you how to lead emotionally with strength, grace, and honesty, so that no matter your age, you become unforgettable. Let's go deeper, because this next layer is where everything truly comes together. Emotional mastery is not something you display, it's something you embody. It's subtle, almost invisible, yet incredibly powerful. And once it becomes part of who you are, it changes every interaction you have with a woman. Most men misunderstand emotions. They either suppress them entirely or become overwhelmed by them. But emotional mastery is neither suppression nor excess. It's control. It's the ability to feel without losing your center. And that, gentlemen, is rare. When a woman interacts with you, she isn't just listening to your words. She is constantly evaluating how you respond to pressure, uncertainty, and emotional shifts. She may test you, sometimes consciously, often unconsciously, not to challenge you, but to understand you. She wants to know, are you steady or are you reactive? Are you grounded or are you easily shaken? This is where most men fail. They take things personally. A delayed reply becomes rejection. A change in tone becomes a problem. A moment of distance becomes insecurity. And in reacting this way, they reveal emotional instability. But a man who has mastered himself responds differently. He does not chase reassurance. He does not overanalyze. He does not crumble under ambiguity. Instead, he remains centered. He observes without immediately reacting. He listens without rushing to fix. He allows space without feeling threatened by it. And this changes everything because when a woman realizes that your emotional state is not dependent on her behavior, she begins to relax. The pressure disappears. She no longer feels the need to test, to provoke, or to protect herself. Instead, she leans in. This is the paradox of attraction. The more emotionally independent you are, the more emotionally inviting you become. Let me give you a practical example. Imagine you're having a conversation with a woman, and suddenly she becomes distant, short answers, less engagement. Most men immediately try to fix it. They talk more, joke more, seek reassurance. In doing so, they communicate anxiety. But a man with emotional mastery does something very different. He notices the shift, but he doesn't chase it. He stays present. He continues the interaction naturally, without forcing energy that isn't there. And if the moment calls for space, he allows it without tension. Why does this work? Because it shows strength. It communicates, I am stable, regardless of fluctuations. And that stability is deeply attractive. Now, let's talk about another key element: emotional leadership. Emotional leadership is not about controlling a woman's feelings, it's about guiding the emotional tone of the interaction through your own state. You set the pace. You create the atmosphere. If you are calm, the interaction becomes calm. If you are playful, it becomes light. If you are grounded, it becomes safe. This is why your internal state matters more than any technique or line you could ever use. A woman will forget what you said, but she will always remember how she felt around you. So, how do you develop this level of emotional control? It begins with awareness. Start noticing your reactions, not judging them, just observing. When you feel tension, ask yourself, what am I reacting to? When you feel the urge to impress, ask, what am I trying to prove? These simple questions create space between stimulus and response, and in that space, you gain control. The second step is regulation. This is where your breathing becomes essential. Slow, controlled breathing signals safety to your nervous system. It lowers stress, stabilizes your emotions, and keeps you grounded in the present moment. Remember the magnetic breathing exercise. This is not just relaxation, it's training. Training your body to remain calm under pressure. The third step is acceptance. You must accept that not every interaction will lead somewhere. Not every woman will be interested, and that is perfectly fine because your value does not change based on her response. This mindset frees you. It removes the fear of rejection. It eliminates the need to perform, and it allows you to show up authentically, without tension, without pressure. And ironically, this is when attraction becomes strongest because authenticity is rare, emotional stability is rare, and when you combine both, you become unforgettable. Let's also address something important: patience. Attraction at this stage of life is not about speed, it's about depth. Younger men often rush, they seek immediate results. But you have an advantage, they don't. You understand timing, you understand pacing, you understand that real connection cannot be forced. When you slow down, when you allow conversations to breathe, when you give space instead of filling it, you create anticipation, you create curiosity. And curiosity is the foundation of attraction. A woman begins to wonder about you, to think about you, to feel drawn to your presence even when you're not there. That is influence, that is power. Now, let's bring everything together. You have learned that attraction is not about appearance or wealth, it's about energy, it's about presence, it's about emotional independence and mastery. You have learned that chasing weakens you, while contentment strengthens you, that seeking approval repels, while self validation attracts, that competing with youth is unnecessary because your strength lies in maturity. You have learned that your presence speaks louder than words, that your calm creates safety, that your stability builds trust. And now you understand that emotional mastery is the final piece, the element that transforms interest into connection and connection into something lasting. So, what should you do from here? Practice daily, 12 minutes of mental training, 5 minutes of breathing, moments of awareness throughout your day, not as a task, but as a commitment to yourself. Because this is not about attracting women, that is simply a byproduct. This is about becoming a man who is fully in control of his life, his emotions, and his presence. And when you become that man, everything changes. The way you walk into a room changes. The way you speak changes. The way people respond to you changes. Women notice, they feel it, and they respond to it naturally, effortlessly. So, gentlemen, remember this: you are not defined by your age, you are defined by your state. And when your state is grounded, calm, and self assured, you become a force that cannot be ignored. Walk with quiet confidence, speak with intention, listen with presence, and live with the certainty that you already possess everything you need, because you do. Now go forward, not to chase, not to prove, but to experience. And watch how the world and the women within it begin to meet you in a completely different way.